Hello, everybody. Welcome to another special edition of Brace for Impact. It's BFI Extras. It's episode 8. It's the wonderful Bibiahn as well. Welcome, Bibiahn.
Hi.
I don't know if it should be. I never know if it should be Bibiahn or Bibiahn. I please help me with that.
I think the way it just rolls off for me is probably just Bibiahn.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
there we
Okay.
go.
It might be a dialect thing
The
because
question has
Yeah.
I have
finally
that.
been answered.
Yeah. I was like, it might be a dialect thing because I have that very thick Philadelphia accent. So we'll just chalk it up
Yeah, I
to.
don't mind. It's either or. Yeah.
Him and his
Okay.
coffee.
Good. God darn it, Parks. Parks on the far side, as always. And I wanted to get started. It's actually a question that we've asked quite a bit to a lot of our guests, and it's kind of like the origin story of when you started playing. So, obviously, you're an Australian player. Talk to me about the early days of playing in Australia and just your early competitive days within Australia.
Oh, I think how I got into the game was just my friends at high school got into it, so I was like probably around like 12 or something. They were just like all hopping on CS, and I think that was like around the time where that simple falling clip from on Cash, like
Okay, yeah.
the double no scope. Yeah, I think that was like around then when I was getting into like CS competitively, as like just watching esports in general. Watching CS competitively. So I think the biggest like influence back then as well on why I wanted to like go professional was like just seeing the C9 summer team. Like
Right.
I think that team was like I was connected to a lot, and they were really fun to watch. Like just really good personalities. But yeah, um, the I just pretty much played Face It like non-stop. Like after school, come home, play Face It. That was like all I was thinking about during school. I was not a great uh student because of that. So yeah.
So from
Uh,
there, you eventually, you start playing and get into the competitive team space, and eventually make your way into Australia's MDL.
Yeah. Um, that one was because uh one of the players in that team, I think he was leaving or something. 80K. We went to the same high school, so he like knew of me, and I always being a CS like cringe CS fan. Like when I was young, I always like bothered him. I was like, hey, come play, or like I saw them at I went to like a lot of like the local lands as well. So I always see him playing, and I'm like, yeah, I want to be up there. So yeah, that's how he just messaged me like out of the blue. He's like, hey, you want to join? I was like, okay.
is that so? Is that something that when you hear commentators say it before, is that a narrative that bothers you in games that you play in, like whether it's Impact or anything else competitive, or is that just is it something you're proud of and like, oh hey, I've played in MDL before, or is it just
Oh no, I
something
think
you
it's
don't really put a lot of
uh
weight into?
no, I think I'm really happy that it happened. Like obviously without that experience, I probably it would not have helped as much um when I'm getting into like things like CLG Red and stuff like that. So I think and it and it's just not like it's like a lot of it's like the experience I get from the very short time I got out of it. Like I'm playing higher caliber players, so I know uh I was introduced to what it was like. Obviously, I would have liked if it lasted uh a lot longer, but yeah, I know I don't feel any too bad about it. Like I'm happy that it happened.
I mean, it was 12 matches. Just I've gone back and looked. I mean, 12 matches across two. That's pretty cool. And then you move on to a few. You take a few seasons off. us come in season 40 around the start of Impact, see the Mind Freak project pop up, and you play a season of Open with them, and then also all of Impact. So you go and you qualify for, I believe it was season 1 finals in Dallas, and then while
Yeah.
you're here, you also managed to qualify for Valencia through the NA qualifier.
Yeah.
There's a lot to speak on in terms of that. But just kind of to start us all, go all the way back when season 1 of Impact gets announced. Kind of what's your thought process? Where do you start with all that?
Okay, so that was like I think it was a few weeks or months like off what happened with ESIC.
Right.
So I think everyone knew at the time like I was kind of just I was just chilling, like I wasn't on a team or anything. So I think Michael Commody, so he's the owner of MindFreak, or he's running MindFreak right now. So I
Right.
think when ESL Impact got announced, he just hit me up with a DM on Twitter. He's like, "Hey, do you want to make a team for this?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." And there's like, and that's pretty much just how it went. Like, there's not a lot of, it was easy to just pick players in the thing because it's not like that big.
Yeah.
Obviously, I had a big decision to make at that time, and I think it paid off really well. Obviously, and that was whether I wanted to. I could have easily just gone back and played with the Carnage girls, but I didn't. And that was because I I purely felt that I could have done more with the players I picked.
Right.
Were the Carnage girls? Some of them were moving over to Valorant that time. Is that correct? Or
I think so, yeah, but I think they were interested in coming back and playing. So, well, for Impact at least.
and talk to me about the first off the boot camp, right? Because I
Yeah.
remember we covered I believe you and I covered that qualifier for Valencia Parks, and
I think so.
I
Something along those lines.
remember. I'll admit it. I remember rooting against you guys, hoping Pleaston help would make it. I'm like 2 out of 18s, 2 out of 18s,
Yeah. I mean,
and
understandably, yeah.
and Josh and whatnot were in the chat going, "No, Australia, Australia, Australia." So it
Mm.
was a really amazing, just really, I guess, scene that night. But talk to me about the boot camp and coming over to the U.S. and getting the permission to come over early so you can play in the qualifier, and then actually winning the qualifier to go on to Valencia.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Like we wanted to get over there early just because. I think it's just rough for us as Australians, like getting used to like the jet lag, and yeah, I think Michael Comedy like literally just out of the goodness of his heart, we were able to do that and fly out earlier and boot camp, and um obviously we we signed up for the qualifier, but it wasn't like we weren't expecting like too much out of it. We just wanted to use it as like practice, you know. So
Right.
that's pretty much how we went about it, and I think I think because we signed up for it like without too much expectation, we were able to play like pretty comfortably, and like we had like no stress, or like we had nothing to lose, I guess. So we were able to just to like play our game, and I think everyone just felt good, like no stress. So and we ended up winning the thing. So that's
another
a plus.
another trip to around the world for Counter
Yeah.
Strike is always fun. Um,
Yeah.
and of course around that time you were at Dallas for season 1 finals, and I mean it was the first time around for everything. Huge kind of open teams that much. It wasn't. I would say it wasn't going to be as good an event as the season 3 Dallas was, because it was the first time for everything kind of thing.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel going into that? Like, what was the kind of the expectations, or just being there? What was the atmosphere like with these 8 teams now coming in for this brand new league and going to a LAN?
Um, I think, yeah, I mean, it, it was very I wouldn't say uncomfortable. It's just like a new experience for everyone.
Yeah.
Not just like the LAN, but like for some of my players was like travel itself and just being among like heaps of people. So yeah, I mean, I'm taking like I took like these gamers out of like Face It, like Siege and Face It, where um there's not a lot of social interaction there, so it's not something it's not something that like everyone was used to, like maybe a little bit myself as well, but um I think overall it was just like a really good experience. Um, being exposed to just like stuff like the crowd. I think in season one Dallas was like crazy. Where it was like more because Fury was in that, I think, and so like there was a lot of like back and forth like
Yeah.
cheering and shit like that. So, but yeah, that was new to us. Um, uh, and I think as like Australians, we don't get a lot of like land experience at all. So just you know small things like setting up PCs and like seeing how everything works, like setting up SSDs. We have a player lounge, like media day, like stuff like that is like very new to us. So um, I think everyone was just going along with it, and really, I mean, we were exhausted, I guess, by the end of the day, like every day. So
Yeah, I know. I
um,
know. Didn't y'all play like the first game of the day, and then you didn't play again until the last game of the day on like day one? It's
oh
like,
yeah, that still happens like now, but like
oh yeah.
yeah, I think it's ridiculous. But
Combine that with the
yeah,
jet lag, it gets kind of overwhelming.
yeah, but it is what it is.
Well, I do want to ask you about the lack of land experience because obviously, uh, Oceania and South Africa are two regions that didn't get spots at all in the Impact circuit this year. But
Yeah,
before we touch on that topic, I do want to talk about the jet lag because we saw HSG recently at season 3, and I was talking with their coach, and he said they're just exhausted because they flew in. I think they landed at like Thursday morning in the morning, and they had to like sleep because they hadn't slept on the plane, and then it
yeah,
threw
the
everything off.
schedule's
So,
completely yeah.
oh yeah. So, what is that something? Obviously, that's a challenge for the Asian and Oceanic teams, no matter what land they go to, whether they go to Valencia, whether they went to Yokaping, whether they went to Dallas, right? Um, what is something that you think the circuit can do better to help the teams with that?
Well, I think it's half and half. I think teams should um be able to like account for the jet lag, and I guess the circuit can help by just flying out like half a day earlier. Um, but yeah, I mean, jet lag is like it's a given. Like you can't you can't escape it. So I think as a player and as like a team, you just have to do your best to like adjust for it ahead of time. Uh, you know, for us, like when we know a tournament is coming up, then we literally like have a week before where everyone's just trying to stay up and like sleep as we would if we were there. And obviously,
Right.
like things like taking things like melatonin and stuff like that will help as well.
Right.
Can I? I just want to ask a follow-up question, Parks, and then I'll
Yeah.
let you.
Yeah. No.
I'll
For
let
sure.
you flip. But what was the difference? Did you feel a difference in the preparation or anything? Obviously, with Valencia in season 1, you were with Mind Freak, and then now you're with FlyQuest. So the preparation in terms of the teams might have been different. But how did you feel the preparation or your preparedness was compared when you compare season 1, where you and the team, or Valencia, where you and the team had to do the long travel to Dallas when you were in the same time zone as the land?
Mm, uh, oh, I think I think we were still like very clueless about things back then. So I think
Okay.
we I don't know if we flew. I'm pretty sure we flew back and then flew back to Valencia. It was like only like a couple months in between.
Yeah.
So I know we didn't prepare anything. I'll be honest with you. Like it was just it was just like okay, we'll fly.
Nice.
All right. Well, he mentions so Valencia goes through, coming up onto the season 2, on the season 2 land. We know Oceania is not getting the spot, and South Africa's not getting the spot. It's going to Asia. So kind of I don't want to say a delusion happens there, where Mindfreak kind of falls apart with no spot guaranteed. And a few months later, all of a sudden we see some wicked cool Australian is now joining CLG Red Girls as they're doing a roster turnover. I mean, how did that come about? It's not because Xiao was like, oh yeah, I just kind of hit them up one day and they said you're a wicked aimer, or was there a lot of tryouts involved in that, or was it more of they saw you at season 1 at Valencia and said we would love to have you on the team?
I think it was the latter of what you said. I knew about it for like the longest time. Like I think during Valencia, I knew about it before Valencia.
Right.
They pretty much hit me up. Like, for me, there was no trial. But also like, I think it's kind of hard to trial me because I'm from Australia. I would be screaming on like 200 ping.
Yeah,
So they were just like,
County does it on 100. So I mean,
yeah, but it's playable for her. Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I think Flashy messaged me. Like I knew about it like before even Flashy messaged me. Like I was pretty not close, but I was talking with the players themselves,
right.
and so I knew what was going on.
What's been? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no. I'll talk about it later.
Okay, I was gonna say, what's been the transition like to from moving to Australia to the U.S. or Canada?
It wasn't too bad. Like I don't really get stressed about these things too much, and it was just me and my clothes, so I didn't have a lot attached to back home. Obviously apart from my parents and stuff, but like even then I'm not like a super big like family person, or like I don't really get homesick, so it was pretty smooth for me, I guess. But yeah, no, it was easy, the transition.
Awesome. All right. So the jump has been made now. You're over in Canada / the US. You're playing here, and season goes, and you guys just kind of grind it out. I remember, I want to say it was one of the first documentaries they did for the season 2 finals. There was like a second during you guys are like huddle talking to each other, and I forget what you said to, I believe it was to Mads. You said something to her like, hey, we need to do this better because it's stressing me out. And I just I sit there and think about kind of the relationship you have with the rest of your teammates. Do you find that you guys are very open with each other and it's a very like constructive environment, and is there a lot of like you can just talk freely with each other and there's no issues? How are you guys as a dynamic as a 5?
I think we established from the start, like Goose established from the start, that we wanted to be a team that were able to like talk freely and express whatever discomfort we were feeling in the team, whether that's inside the server, outside the server, just so we're all adults, like we can like problem solve, we can talk it out with each other without um I don't know how to say it else, but like shit blowing up, but I think you know and just to get like the problems out of the way, without too many issues between the players, like I think it's important, because once you get those problems out of the way, like it will just get better anyways. Like you're in the end you're creating a stronger bond when you're like talking these problems out. So I think Goose has done a really good job of creating that environment, and it's like paying off because like now yeah, like we've been with each other for like a year now, and everyone is pretty comfortable like just talking with each other, like in and outside the server. So I mean,
Awesome.
that's what I think from my perspective. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have any like big
Uh,
issues with anyone, but it's
Awesome.
it's easy.
Great. Um. So yeah, and I mean at that point, so you do season 2 finals in Yokaping, go from there, and all of a sudden CLG closes their doors, they're sold off to NRG, and there's a bit of a flux now where the team you don't really know much about what's happening. Is the Oregon? I mean, we were both Benny and I were both looking at like, hey, they've got 60 days for Bibiahn to get in like her visa resecured here with the team, or she's gonna have to go back to Australia. And it was the
Mm.
same thing with Cowday, where it's like she only has 60 days. Now the land comes just before the 60 days happens, and we knew you guys were going to qualify, but it's like, what happens after that? What happens after that? And then kind of FlyQuest swoop in. And I mean, I know you probably can't speak too much on the whole thing, but like, was the general feeling when you guys lost the support of CLG, was it just like, oh, we're screwed? Or was it, you know, Stephanie Miss Harvey stepping in and just going, "We'll figure it out. Do not worry about it." Like, what was the feeling about losing an org and then all of a sudden another one's swooping in and just, "Hey, we're here. We'll support you guys."
Yeah, again, it's the latter. Like, um, I think at the time when it happened, like we we knew we had a lot of, especially from Goose as well. We had a lot of like connections and backup plans, and she was pretty on top of it when it happened. And obviously, as soon as it happened, like Steph and Greg Kim and Jonathan,
Yeah.
it was Kamikaze, like the general manager. So they were all pretty much like, "Don't worry, girls. Like, let us handle this. You guys just focus on playing CS." And they handled it. So yeah, like obviously, like it was pretty stressful for myself. Like I'm already like an emotional person, and I get pretty like, I think the worst of things. So I was like
Right.
extremely like stressed out, and but I had my team to support me. You know, they're like they would call me up and be like, "Hey, you okay?" They would check up on me. So I have a super good support system there, like with my team and obviously with Steph and like Greg and stuff. So
Right.
yeah, yeah, we pretty much did nothing. Like we just sat there and played CS, and they handled everything. So it was easy.
The dream, right?
Yeah, it's a dream. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I could not be grateful enough. Like I think I don't know. Like, I think going back to Australia was like the last thing I wanted to happen. So yeah.
I want to talk about the impact circuit really quickly because we are brushing up or getting closer to time here. But I want to talk about the impact scene in 2023 and the fact that two regions have kind of been left behind, uh, for lack of a better term. I don't really think it's a lack of a better term. I honestly think they kind of just been left behind. But um, your thoughts on the circuit 2023 not really giving much in terms of the land spot to Oceania and South Africa.
I just think it's lazy, like from them. Um, I think these spots should be given a chance. And it's like one of the biggest, or the only circuit in the female space. So I don't see why it would be good for them just to like lock them out of it, lock like these smaller regions out. Um, like they've got easily like look, I can't speak much to it, I guess, but like I feel like they have enough resources and like they have the capacity to do it. Um, compared to like other TOs, so I don't see why like they would do this, I guess. But yeah, I think it's just lazy from them, and yeah, I don't know. Like I think these smaller regions should be given a chance. Like you don't know when you're gonna get like uh a new up and comer out of these regions.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've had Shaz before. God bless the legend from
Mm.
South Africa. We have you now coming out of Australia. So, I mean, the regions can produce like top quality international players, but if there's no pipeline for them, they have no way of reaching those spots. You know what I mean, on
Yeah.
international rosters and whatnot. So, I feel like it's listen. That was like listen back to the BFI episode Marks and I did when the news first came out about
God.
season 4. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
so but
There's like it. There is like there's only cash cups for these small regions, but the thing is like they don't get looked at
No.
all compared to like uh
Europe,
land.
North America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's important for these regions to get like the spotlight at least on the like main stage, because like no one fucking looks at cash cups like it's unless you're digging, but
Yeah,
right.
we
no one
did.
has time for
Yeah,
that.
we
So
did,
yeah.
but that's that's a hobby
Yeah.
more so than a lifestyle,
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah.
more so than anything
Yeah.
else from us.
Yeah.
I did want to ask about Australia though again, and kind of at least my final question. But the region is doing. I would say they're doing all right for themselves because they still show up for cash cups. We get 3-4 teams for the cash cups, and there's obviously the 10 women's that the community down there has started.
Mm.
Your thoughts on just all the work that they've done throughout the course of the last 12 to 18 months in keeping the scene afloat and keeping the scene competitive and constantly playing.
I mean, I think it's good. Like, I haven't been too involved. I've just been looking from the outside, so I don't know too much about like who's coming in, who's going out, like what's happening too much. But I did see like the 10 man. Um, I hope that it is active now. I think it is. Is it? But like, yeah,
Yeah, I
because
think it's pretty active.
it's like stuff like that has been um attempted before. So to see it like actually thrive this time is, it's a step forward if anything. So um yeah, no, it's good. Like uh yeah, I can't say much because I'm not really that involved, but it's a step forward, and I hope it gets better. More world stages would be great.
Yeah. Just speaking on the 10 women's, do you think that would work in North America just because you are here and I know you've been streaming a lot lately, you play with Yuli and Jaro and a whole whack of other, pro players. Do you think a
Yeah.
10 women's in North America would work in terms of helping bring up people, or is it just kind of like because we have player population, it's better for them to just kind of play pugs and man and their own kind of 10 mans on stuff?
Yeah, no, I think there's just too many good players to play with here instead of like I mean, I personally wouldn't play a 10 women's just because I like, not to be harsh or anything, but like I'd rather play like higher caliber players so
Right.
I could get better. Like, I think the improving part, like I can improve a lot more playing like regular pugs than 10 women's, but it's not shit on the women
Yeah.
playing, because um I just think uh what time you're investing in how to improve like is also important as well. So like I think I'm basically just saying like I don't want to waste my time there. I want to waste my time in pugs, but also like but
I
also
know what you mean though. I know what you
yeah,
mean. Like,
and also like just doing stuff out of the server like um would help you like tenfold.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where that might even be beneficial to like players who just picked up Counter Strike last year when the Impact Circuit got announced, and because there could be higher quality players that they play against in the 10 women's, whereas opposed to a player who has your sort of CV is pushing for a quality that can't be found there yet. And so
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
playing with, other players, which is fine. There's, it's
Yeah,
totally.
that's a lot nicer way of saying it.
It's okay. I'll run the
She's
PR.
she's the simple of women's CS, and she doesn't have to deal with it. She doesn't want to deal with it, she
Ain't nobody
can't-
got time. No,
Yeah.
that's the not nice way of
can't
putting
be
it.
can't be blamed for just jumping around and no scoping
Yeah.
people for fun,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have no further questions unless Parks, you've got something.
I mean, I don't really have any. I'm glad to see that you're streaming and making content. That's always been something, at least from my point of view, as a
Yes.
person who does casting, all that is like get your personality out there, show who you are, and like people absolutely. I enjoy watching your stream a lot, so thank you for the content.
Thank you.
Do you have any shout outs you want to say right now, just because we are at the end of the episode here? I mean, anybody and anything, you've got the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to MindQuest that I'm still in the country. That's great. Shout out to my family at home. They are super supportive. They always check up on me and yeah,
His broken jersey.
broken.
Oh, he ordered a
Broken?
Yeah, you ordered
No,
a customization for it. And
yeah,
you get the
but they sent a blank. So
Oh, what the heck? Okay,
yeah, it's all good.
wait. I'll message them about
yeah.
that.
We've already got an email chain. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay, good. Yeah. So, I mean, shout out to you guys as well. You guys are cool.
I'll take it.
Thank you. I think that's the first time I've been called cool by somebody being a 35-year-old man.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Usually
you
it's
just gets called
boomer.
old. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching the episode. Hopefully they do. I always love when we talked to B Dog the other week, and he's like, yeah, I watched all of them. I'm like, I think you're the first person that's told us that. So
I think there's a lot of people who watch, they just don't say it.
woo, minor wins.
yeah.
We'll take it. All right. Well, that is the end of the episode. We're gonna get out of here. The new episode will be up next week, a regularly scheduled program. Thank you so much for joining us, Bibiahn, and we're gonna get out of here. Bye for now.